Hey guys, welcome to our YouTube channel Mainframe Girls. Today we will talk about a very important topic related to data sets, that is, what is an extent. If you remember my previous videos, I have stressed on this word a lot, like what is an extent, how a data set can move from one volume to another volume, how a data set can extend according to the requirement when you give a space allocation, depending on the primary and the secondary allocations. So I'll talk about a word extent today in our video and explain you how it works. Okay, this is a basic definition of an extent. An extent is a continuous area of space on a density storage volume occupied by or reserved for a specific data set. It's like if I tell you what is an extent. If you remember, I have told you what is a secondary space, what is primary space before. If there is a data set, how you allocate space? You allocate space by giving, you say this is a space unit, tracks, comma. You say this is a primary, that is 100, and this is secondary, 50. And this is what we call space. Okay, when we create a data set, as I told you, this is primary, this is secondary. So what happens when you create a data set? How space gets allocated? How do you say it can move up to these many extents? How this extent things works? It's a basic thing. Suppose our space unit is tracks. Think that primary you have given 100 tracks. You say you are asking volume that your data set needs 100 tracks of continuous space. That is what first requirement you are asking. So volume will give you 100 tracks of continuous space. This is 100 tracks of continuous space. You got this, and your data set got allocated in this. This is your data set in it. Okay, so what is happening next? How an extent it is next it comes, your data set needs one or one space. It needs more tracks. It means after 100 tracks it is extended, means you need more data is going into the data set. Okay, then what you do, this 50 tracks come into picture, this 50 tracks. So your when your secondary allocation is 50 tracks here, so what happens when it is going to the next track after 100th track, when it is going to 101st track, your allocation will provide you 50 tracks of secondary space. Now your dataset is having 150 tracks of space. Okay, so then again you need 151th track. There's more data going into the data set. Then your data set will take another 50 tracks. So the question here is, how many 50 tracks? How many times this secondary space can be added up according to requirement? If there is more data pumping into it, how many times this 50 can be taken? So if you understand, this is what an extent called. A continuous space, a continuous area of space on a density storage volume occupied by or reserved for a specific data set. That's what. This 50 tracks is given to this data set. Again, a continuous space of 50 tracks is given to this extent. So here it comes. This is first extent. If I say this is first extent. If how many times you give a secondary space, that many extents it is called. So this is first extent, this is second extent, this is third extent. Like this, how many extents it can go. So if you understood what is an extent is nothing but how many times you give a continuous secondary space for a data set when it requires. Here comes the question, right? How many times a data set can go? It can take the secondary space. So this is the solution for it. This is the answer for that question. Okay, how many times? Suppose if you're creating a PS file can extend up to 16 extents in one volume. Okay, that's how it works is, let's take space is equals to primary, let's take 100, Secondary, let's take some 10. This is how you have defined as you know, for a PS file, you need only primary and secondary allocation. If you have any queries, just refer my previous video. Just you need 100 and 10. You have given primary as 100 and secondary as 10. So how many times you can give 10 to 100 when you need a 101 track? How many times a 10 tracks is given? That is 100 plus 10 into 16. That is 160 plus 100. That is 260 tracks, depending on the space unit. If you're giving 260 tracks, if you're giving tracks, if you're giving cylinders, if you're giving something blocks, you know, right? For blocks it changes. So like that, depending on that, it can be given. Okay. So depending on that, here you get 16 if it is for one volume. Okay. But as we know, PS file can extend up to 59 volumes. A basic PS file can extend up to 59 volumes. So here what happens? So if you are giving a same allocation, if space is allocated as 100, 10, how many times this 10 can be given here? How many extents it can be given? Then comes into picture 944. 900 plus 10 into 944, which is 9440 plus 100, which is 9540 tracks or cylinders. So these many tracks or cylinders are given to that particular data set. So that is how a PS file can be extended up to 944 extents. Like the basic doubt everyone will have, what is this extent? When someone sees what is allocated extents, what is how many extents it is used. There are some basic things while you create a data set. You can see after creation, when you see for its information, when you do an F11 and check for its information, it will say this many extents it allocated, this many this much percentage it got used, this many tracks it is being there, the information is being there. But how you'll know what is that extent, what is this percentage, what is this tracks? This is how you will be knowing, because this table is constant. Like for a PDS file, if you're coming to PDS file is the maximum extents for a PDS file is only 16. So it's basic. Like if you're given 100 comma 10, it can take only 16 extents. It means it can take only 16 times of the secondary space. So 100 plus 10 into 16, that's it, right? It will take only 260 tracks or 260 cylinders. That's it. When it comes to an extended, we know that extended can be 123 extents. That is the maximum extents. But as PDS and PDSC can extend only up to one volume, so that maximum extents is also 123 extents. So, but coming to PS extended, but PS can move up to 59 volumes. So here comes 59 times of 123 is 7257. So it can, when you're creating a basic PS file with an extended format, it can go up to 100. If suppose this is the thing, you can go up to 100 plus 10 into 7257, which could be 72570 plus 100. That is 72670. So that's how an extent works. Like that's how it can spread. These are some basic examples which I took. If you see here, these are some of the data sets. Okay, this is some ABC data set. This is some data set. These are the data sets which are allocated with this many tracks, with this much of percentage used and this much of extent. So normally the confusion is, people may think like the confused in the starting. I would think like that. What is this 96 percentage? If this file is filled with 96 percentage, okay, so we have more only 4% in the file to be filled. No, if you say this is 100 percentage, you may think this is full and the no more information can go into this. No, this percentage shows how much percentage that extent is full. Means this 8 extents is 100% full. Suppose if the data, if this 12 tracks is increasing more, if it is going to 13th track, what happens? This will go to 9, it will go to 9 extents, and this will come to 1%. So in the same way, if you see this 464 extents in the starting, this is a PS file. Just by seeing 464, you should say that this is a PS file. How? Only a PS file can go up to 944 extents, right? Other files are only 123 extents is a maximum. So it is a PS file with 944 extents, and this PS file is this 464th extent is only 1% used. Okay, if this 464th extent is 100% used, again it will go to 1, and here it will show 465 extents. So this is a space, this tracks, how you can see this tracks. Maybe if you see this tracks, mostly they would have given some space allocation, like some 5000 comma some 1000 tracks. This would be the allocation, if I'm not wrong. This would 5000. First it will take 5000 primary, then it will be taking 1000. How many thousand it has taken? 464. 464 will take 100. Maybe will take 100. It is taking 46400. See, 46400 tracks it has been taken from secondary. Plus, if you do this 5000, so but it is almost 8000. So the secondary should be 200. If you take secondary as 200, it's approximately, it would be around some 8000. So that would be the space. Like that, you'll be knowing how much tracks it is taking. So this could be the allocation. I don't know how much allocation they have given to that file, but this could be the allocation around 5000 to 200. How it is taking 464 times of the secondary space allocation, and that allocation is used only 1% here, and that this is the current tracks which are being used, current track which is being allocated for that particular used tracks. Okay guys, if you have any doubts related to extents, please ping me or please comment below so that I'll explain you more about extent. But please kindly like, share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.